Yup. What's happening? How are you all doing? 2023. I'm back. So, 2023. Exciting year, big year for many different reasons. I think I'll keep this episode short because I haven't jumped on in a while, and this is more like an update, a snapshot. This is just the quick 1-2 of what I've been up to and what's going to happen moving forward. So, jump back to November last year, had my exams. They were extremely challenging. To tell you the truth, I didn't know whether I was going to pass or not, but got through that phase, got through it. I'm super glad I did, because otherwise I'd have to repeat those exams and I wouldn't have been able to do what I did across the university break. So that got me into the start of November. I decided to try and upskill and learn to code. This was a big jump, I guess, a big challenge. There's a reason why people do at least a 3-year degree to get a software engineering degree, and I was trying to cram it all into 6 or 7 weeks or so. And I learned a bunch of stuff. Look, at 7 weeks, there was a bunch I could take in, but safe to say I've only got a very bare basic foundational level, and there is a lot to learn on this journey. So probably I'll be learning the ropes for the next couple of years or so as I try and refine those skills. The reason why I jumped into it is because I found there was a ceiling with the things I was able to create with the websites that I was trying to build. I was using no-code tools, and they took me quite a long way, and I really enjoyed using those tools. But to build functional web apps, sometimes you need just a little bit more knowledge, and you need the right tools to be able to do that. And by learning to code, you can actually build those things from scratch, and it might take a bit more of an investment in terms of learning and in terms of time to build these things at the start, but then you've got a lot more capacity for building functions that you wouldn't have had previously. So I jumped into that. I spent a lot of hours on YouTube. I bought a JavaScript course. I learned a few different languages, just the fundamentals, but I brushed up on CSS, HTML, JavaScript, PHP. There's also some server-side stuff, Node.js, MongoDB. I played around with these things. I didn't build anything as such, but I definitely dived into that whole world, and super interesting to learn about and learn the logic behind it, because you have to think in a totally different way from how you normally build things when you're going to bare bones fundamentals, because if you make a mistake, then the whole thing crashes down. So you have to be very particular. It's very detail orientated, and it's very logic orientated. The website will only do what you tell it to do. So that took me through probably till late December. Then in December, had good break with family and friends and catching up with different people. And then in January, I actually went bush and spent some time away in nature and with a few friends. So that was really cool as well. Good to just have a breather, clear up my mental capacity, think about a few different things without work getting in the way. And that took me through to late January. And it was really interesting coming out of the bush in late Jan, because New Zealand looked a little bit different. There was a new prime minister. I understand why Jacinda stepped back for personal and political reasons, and we had new prime minister, and I think it'll be a super interesting year, because Labour has been in power for a while now, and there has been a lot that has happened over the last few years. The world looks totally different now compared to when they started in power, and I think there will be a lot of issues that get brought up in the commentary and in the political debates this year. So super interesting. I think National will come in with a good fight, and Labour will have a tough job on their hands trying to defend their place in power. So we'll see what happens. I love watching the lead up to election day. I think that there's some good there's good friendly debate, but there's also some cheeky social media posts in the mix that happen around that time too. So really looking forward to it. And I think what's really cool about it is you get to actually see what the strategies are for the potential solutions to the problems that New Zealand is facing at a macro level. It's always easier to say what you're going to do than when you're in power and actually doing it. It's easier to just talk the talk rather than walk the walk. So we'll see what happens. And yeah, I think there's a lot that will happen between now and then, and I think it's way too early to predict who's going to be in power. But everyone can make predictions. So we will see. Also, when I came out of the bush, obviously there were floodings that happened in Auckland, moved down to Tauranga, and a few other places in the North Island. So I hope that everyone is safe, everyone is keeping as warm and dry as possible. There's a lot that has to happen to rebuild the city and fix the infrastructure. So that will come at a cost. And I hope that we can get on top of it as soon as possible. I think there are a few people out there that don't realize how big of a deal this is. Obviously, Auckland is our biggest city, and it's also our economic powerhouse of New Zealand. So a lot of shipping and trade comes through Auckland, and just generally a lot of commerce happens up there. So when Auckland gets hit hard like this, it has an effect. May not be immediate, but it does have an effect for the rest of the country in the pipeline. So hopefully we get on top of it as a country as quickly as possible, and then we can keep rebuilding since the COVID cleanup, which is another issue in itself. So a lot has been happening. Coming to today, now I've actually moved cities. I'm in Christchurch, which is exciting. I'm really pumped to explore new places. I love moving cities. I love meeting new people. I just like being in novel situations. So the reason I've moved to Christchurch is because I've finished my lab lecture and learning phase, I guess the theory learning phase of my degree. Now I'm moving into more of a practical phase in the hospital. So I've been based in Dunedin for the past 3 years. Now I'm based in Christchurch, which is mega. I've been over in the hospital for the last week undergoing orientation. There's been a whole bunch of different lectures and experiences that we've had over the last week, from meeting our lecturers to jumping on a marae and learning about the health difficulties in Māori and Pacifica populations, also learning about colonization and the history and why those communities are in poorer states of health and housing and lower socioeconomic situations. So there's a lot to it. There's a lot of history. It's very complex, but it's good to understand and know it and understand the underlying reasons why those populations may have larger challenges than other populations within New Zealand. So we also had days shadowing a doctor. I was with a cardiologist, super interesting. So looking at hearts and stuff. But it's nice to go from the theory where we've just been learning about in books to learning it from a practical standpoint. So we saw patients. And when we study in in terms of theory. Often we separate the body system. So when you think of cardiology, you think about the heart, the blood vessels, you think of the whole cardiovascular system. So you think of where the blood goes and all the rest of it. When you're looking at a patient, you have to integrate all your knowledge from all the body systems, because a patient doesn't just come to you with a heart. They come with brain and eyes and limbs and all the rest of it. So, and kidneys and all that knowledge we've learned, although we've learned about it separated out, now we have to consolidate and try and look at it as one whole person, which it can be challenging, especially when you're early in the journey like myself. But we also got to see some surgeries, and it's pretty incredible what you can do with medicine these days. Medicine isn't perfect, but what we are able to do is pretty cool. For example, when I was with this cardiologist, we saw a couple of surgeries, and one of them was inserting a new heart valve in the heart. But instead of doing open heart surgery, what you can do these days is use the blood vessels as highways, and you can send it up the femoral artery, and you send this valve, which is folded up very tightly, up the artery, so in the leg, and it goes up centrally and inside your inside your descending aorta, and you can actually feed it up all the way to the heart without having to open them all up and crack the chest open. You're just sending it up and until you get to the right place where the valve needs to be replaced, and then essentially it expands when the time is right, and you have a new heart valve in there. So this is while the patient is awake, which is crazy. They have some anesthetic, so they take the pain away, some sedation, but the patient isn't asleep, which is pretty incredible. We're manipulating what's going on in the heart while the patient is awake. So that was just one experience. I'm going to go through a whole bunch more over the next 3 years. There'll be some tests in there and some exams, and there'll be some challenging moments, no doubt. But in terms of like actually seeing the medicine that we do today, and what the healthcare teams are able to accomplish, and I guess how well that we can take care of patients today compared to like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it's pretty amazing. And medicine is always advancing, so there's always new things to learn, new technology, new medicines, new ways to practice medicine. So yeah, the learning never stops. But in terms of like the excitement, I'm at the start line. This is my first week in hospital, and it's cool to see all the things that we've been thinking about and learning about and seeing pictures of in lectures, but now we get to see about it. We get to see it in real time. So that's the state of affairs. Very quick update. There's been a lot going on. Really excited for the new year, new city, new experiences. 2023 will be challenging, but it will also be fast paced and a lot of new things to come. So that's all for today. Hope everyone is doing incredibly well. It's very hot here down in Christchurch, but I hope everyone dries up in Auckland and Tauranga and up north. I hope you clear up the flooding as quickly as possible so that we can get back to normal life as soon as possible. If there's anyone out there who does need help, hit me up and I'll see what I can do through my contacts. But hope everyone enjoys the rest of the weekend. It's a long one, so enjoy it. Enjoy friends, family, good food, hopefully, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.